Hello there. How are you? I'm inviting a few people. If you can do the same, that'll be great. Can you hear me? Give a thumb up, please. I'm just going down the line. How are you? Please share this out and please invite. Tonight we're going to have a necessary conversation. I'm going to do a lot of the talking, which of course I have to because no one's on with me, but I'm not going to answer until afterwards. I want you guys really to listen. It's necessary, some of these conversations that we must have. And this conversation is for you to ponder. The necessary conversations are the most difficult to articulate, especially when we are speaking on a general topic that people will have to personalize to their own situations. Let me get comfortable here. There is a lot of things going on planet Earth. We are now at a time where our consciousness is accelerating. Brothers and sisters, what I'm about to say will make sense. We asked for this. Isn't this what we have been praying for? An awakening of mind, heart, and soul, for us to see what direction that we are going in. What is our purpose on this planet and who controls us? And what are we separating for our own selves as our consciousness is expanding? As of late, we see a lot going on, and what is above is below is taking place right on Earth because there's a power struggle. And I said this years ago because in my own search for truth, what I've learned, my struggles, my jubilations, the consistency of expanding one's consciousness will come with each step of enlightenment, mastering, and evolving. That's difficult to do when we are a confused nation of people. What you see now is people on a mental wavelength that separates, destroys, doesn't give each other a chance to communicate without someone being so offended that discussion no longer takes place. And you say, Teresa, but you said we asked for this. We asked for love and light and for oneness within humanity and live in harmony. And I say, yes, we did. But in order to get there, we have to be awakened. And in this awakening, it teaches us what we are weeding out. And it is no secret that we are a people of bondage because our own enslaved mind is thirsting to break free. And that's why we see tribulations. That's why we see a power struggle. That's why we see, even in the spiritual community now, people bringing up these very topics, but they exclude themselves from part of the problem. And at one time or another, we all are a problem, right? Because we are learning. But the danger zone is when there is no learning and things become deliberate acts of malpractice within humanity. On the same token, where we are struggling, the powers to be are in open warfare, spiritually with us, mentally with us, physically with us, because now they are also coming to their awakening and they are taking their position. And when people say London Bridge is falling down, they think that right away humanity has risen and that humanity is going to take a stand. But London Bridge falling down will mean that you will have to face a lot of things. And as you face those things, you would have to rise up. And if you can't turn around and be humble with one another and understand that we are all human and we are searching for a truth and we must unite, then we are kidding ourselves. We all get bad raps one time or another. We all have done things that we will not do at this stage in life. But there is a tremendous amount of aggression among people who are searching for truth but are lost in communication. And if you love somebody, you are willing to work towards a resolution. And resolutions come with discussion. Our people are dying all over the world, consciously or unconsciously. And again, I'll go back to say, but Teresa, you said we've asked for this. Yes, because just like you get up in the morning and you curl your toes and you stretch and you know that you get the body in motion, your mind and heart is in motion now. And you have the ability to change, but yet you will not. And you will not because there is still competition amongst us. For what reason must there be competition in a world where the powers to be on this planet are in opposition with what we are to discover about ourselves? We will never see God in the same aspect as religion taught us. We will understand what it is to take care of one another. If we stop hating one another, we will rise up and speak the truth, because none of this that goes on between brothers and sisters will be important if we are extinct. What? And it's us to set the example. And guys, look, I know people are struggling. I know our own demons creep up on us. I know that we talk about healing our ancestors' wound trauma, and I get all that. But actually, we have the womb trauma now. And these discussions are necessary because everybody has come to the place in time where they're offended, or they don't like things, or they separate. There's not one amongst us that are perfect, but we're striving. So how do you master something? You have to start at the beginning, guys, don't you? Your mind has to go in motion. Your heart has to be in place. You have to be willing to admit the darkness that lives in you as you understand why there is darkness in this planet and what you can do to change it, and how dismal programming stopped you from flowing. And that starts at a root. Actually, it doesn't even start at the root. If you really think about it, it begins at the seed. Because if the seed is planted right, then the root will grow right. And we have enough knowledge between us that we could do this. And I'm tired of the debate for foolish, egotistical ways that get us in trouble. If you are a leader, then you would shine. And you would be humble enough to admit that you can never be a leader without the teamwork of the people that are leading each other. But because everybody wants to be right, and unconditional love that is preached in a community that does not feel it. Because if you feel it, you will take the time to listen, and you would take the time to understand what we are changing. You would rise above the superficial, and yes, I will call them superficial, trickster, undeveloped psyche tools that you have, because we're all born with it, but not all will utilize it. and you will get to the seed and understand how it grew and how the root now has to be reworked. Because there's the seed, there's the root, there's the outer shell. We look at the outer shell, we go down to the root, and then, we forget about the seed, right? I'm proposing that we have something to change, and as we are changing this, right, we plant good seeds. And we're able to talk about the things that are not conducive to humanity. Whether you like it or not, whether you're sentient beings or not, whether you live on this planet and you are finding the truth within you, you all asked for this because you asked to be awakened. And now that you're awakened and you went through your initiation stages, you have to continue to do something about it. You cannot keep falling backwards and using the excuses that we don't know better. Many do know better. And you're supposed to get up and speak and encourage and understand that you are also learning. But I bet you, if I tell you, and I'll wink at you, for $12.95, I can send you a key code. You're so desperate for that you miss the whole point of the experiment. You are in the greatest experiment of humanity. You have enough knowledge and you know about divinity, and it's been proven of our origins that we as a collective consciousness has the ability to change. So you got to clean up the mess. So I'm going to tell you a few stories that are very real, and I am only speaking from my general observation. I am thankful, thank you, that through my troubles and through my tribulations and my joys, that I stood true to a truth that pushed me forward, and that those things that I felt came to pass, and I knew that I was on the right track. When you see people in communities that are competing to save humanity, and they only save you through their way, please run. Please understand that our origins is interconnected and that we have the ability to change it. Understand that the powers to be on this planet are not threatened by false lights that have the potential to actively hurt us instead of enhancing us, right? Because they know that they're misguided. You want truth? You have to go into your consciousness. You want truth? You have to understand that you can't create through your imagination. Manifestation through the imagination and through what you visualize to create a better life is one thing, right? The ability not to take action when you can, right? And I say ability, because you have the ability, but you choose not to take action because you're too busy worrying about what frequency you can and cannot take, because everything is a mirror effect. Come down to earth and understand that your power is here to be used, and how you use it is entirely up to you. And you're going to misstep, and you're going to step back a little bit, and you're going to rethink things, and you're going to never do certain things the way you did it from when you began, because you were evolving. But one thing you're not going to do is continue in this pattern of hate and destruction and creating all these things that hurt humanity, because there's basics to this, right? You're going to understand the powers to be will turn around, and they will forcefully come out because they are afraid if you use your awakened status, because your consciousness is divine. They cannot interfere with that. You are seeing things now that you only wished could be a year ago, 6 months ago, because you have believed in miracles and you manifested, but as time was going on, you didn't see it. And then one day you stop and everything you wanted manifested. Be careful what you wish for, right? And as you do that, you need to understand that there is leadership. Leadership from people who have wisdom, but do not rule others. The leadership of setting an example of how to walk this path. Walk to the sun. Walk to the water. Walk to your heart. Walk to your soul. But please stop lying to yourself. Right? Everything that I see happening now, and it's very interesting in the communities that are supposed to be the pillars of example, it doesn't sadden me anymore, but it leads me to keep pushing forward and keep speaking and keep saying, stop using consciousness from your own experience to mislead others, because consciousness is unique to the individual, because many lifetimes you have come here. So if you're using your consciousness, you are expanding your heart space. You are able to live in this world, and you are able to understand the gifts that you have. And maybe you won't see it, maybe you won't come back, maybe you will want to live, but you clean it up. Once things that are very sacred become a competition of business, people react because it's their bread and butter. This is not what consciousness is. You should be able to separate your business from the consciousness of your deeds every day, because of course your wares have to be sold. But the lies that you told for $888 just to talk to somebody who is totally screwed up themselves, that's a warning signal. Because when you participate and you break bread and you want to do these sacred rituals, and many are very beautiful, you are partaking in something that you can feel. It's tangible, right? It's not God that they could give you. You can only give God to your own self. Call me a lot of things, but I am not here to debate this with anybody. It's a necessary conversation that hits home to everyone, because everyone is feeling it. But instead of turning the cheek, instead of turning the volume so far up that you can't hear anybody, understand that what's taking place is wrong. You're worried about all these wars that are going on. So let's take a little example that's a truth. Let me see. Perfect. Israel. Israel. It's a state. Established in what, 46, 47? It's a small state. It has the most powerful technological systems in the world. Why do you think that everyone is standoffish and wants to get in? Now let me ask you this. Almighty ones of the mind of the astral field. Why is that? Because there's technological advances that they have that were given to them. The warfare that's going on is for territory and for predatory reasonings, and we all know it. Yet we're godly, but we turn our cheek. And we want to save the world or ourselves or a planet, but we can't deal with the real issues. Again, Teresa, why did you say we asked for it? We did ask for it because your consciousness knew you had a purpose, and that living free on this planet was something that you wanted. And you wanted to be rid of the addictions and the bondages and the malpractices that are afflicted on you. And you started to come together and you started to see, and now you're questioning, and now you know, Now you have the opportunity to do something. And when true forgiveness comes, can you really forgive? Can you understand that there are some things that you will not jive with and you just have to move on? You have to be heart. You have to be soul. You have to be something other than just a chapter in the book. You have to live the whole book. And again, my thing is the mind, but I did a lot of mind experiments. And some at the cost of my own foolishness, but I've learned. And I understand that if we don't heal the womb and if we don't free ourselves from our own families, sometimes, the bondages, the abuses, the traumas, and how do we get there? Because look, let's face it, when people are traumatized very deeply, even as they're recovering and as they're aware and as they know how to move forward, those traumas affect them when certain situations happen. And you have to be in this state of mind where you realize this. And as you realize this, you understand that the struggle is very real. And now that we've asked to be awakened, what does it really mean? What are you awakened to, if I asked you that? Is it only love, to find true love? Is it to be able to live comfortably? Is it to lead amongst communities where you want to enhance and better? Is it to talk freely about healing and world issues, etc., so on? What do you want? What is your purpose? Do you do it divinely? Do you understand when you let go and why the breath is so important? The breath is important. That you let everything go and you still it. Because when you're on overdrive, these are the things that happen. You'll see more and more. Within the next year, you'll see a whole spiritual community crumble. If you take note, and if you go back to the videos, 2 years ago, I told you that this would happen in this time frame. You're seeing it now. You're seeing them bite each other. Openly. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's wrong, guys. It's really wrong to do that. Because now we should have learned through our own mistakes and through our own disadvantages what it is really to rise. And when you say all is one and we are one, again, I'm going to say we are part of the spark of the oneness of all that created all, but we are individuals and we make choices. And what we do with the divine is entirely up to us. And some people knowingly choose to work it differently. Or some people want to come back. Or you're going to see more and more being exposed. But are you smart with all this information? And if you are divinely writing it out, why are you looping? Do you keep looping? Yes, there are challenges. Yes, you will meet them. Yes, you will feel them. But the faith and the heart and the soul and to live day by day in a glorious state where you could be balanced, okay, not sucked in, is something that you work. And to understand what's around you, because there is evil around you. You can't ignore it. You can't say, people are so injured. Sometimes I sit there and I go into meditation because, like a lot of people reach out and I can't, sometimes I get overloaded myself. And I just when I'm moved and I see the same thing over, and it's such a lack of love that people feel. Such a lack of being nurtured. And when you look for these things and you think it's only in a relationship and you don't understand what's happening, around you when you're searching and you're reaching out, you could become victimized. And then you have narcissists, and then you have people who play on people. When you experiment with this thing, you are experimenting in the human life, right? And we see this. So what are you going to do about it? When's the last time that you really, reached out to somebody and said, hello, how you doing? Or is it always you that have to do it? Or, if you bring something out, people, they shy away from you. Or if you're only buying their wares, then they're cool with you. But if you can't buy them no more, then you don't hear from them anymore. That's not good. It's not good if you have, if you have those kind of relationships that are tight. That's why I keep a very neutral stand and I just move on, and I observe a lot. And to be challenged in a world that is searching for a light but is lost is not something that's uncommon. And yes, there are people that have it harder than others. But there comes a time where you just have to say, this is where we're living. And if it's up to us to trust in the divine, then we also have to take action, but we complain a lot. And we go off track, right? And when you go off track, you believe in falsified powers to be, and they will not be at your door saving you. It's just too much. There's too many people. It's a money scam. Even the people that want to do right, government of all sorts are corrupted because they're fighting this kingship war, right? They're fighting for territory. And even the good guy is the bad guy, in a sense, because if you're in it to win it, and if you're in it to do something in that realm of evil that you're fighting, and what? And you're turning the cheek? It's up to us. We asked for this. That's why we're shocked at all the pedophilia. We're shocked at the level of governments, and they're right out now. London Bridge is falling down. They have the monarchy, people are like, oh, that's a code. What kind of a code? They're coming out, honey, for you. They want to rule. All of them. It's happening. It's simultaneously happening. And then everybody's saying, my consciousness is your consciousness. And, I'm a trigger and you're a mirror at me. And that gives me a right to treat you like that. No. That's not happening with this girl. Because it's wrong. It's not who we are. So are you going to change for yourself? Are you going to have these necessary conversations to say, let me look in the mirror? Because there's too much BS going on, guys. Too much finger pointing. Too much holier than thou. Too much I got this. And this is not only in a spiritual community. This is in life in general, right? Most people have no faith. They don't even believe in a divine essence because they have been hoodwinked. And now when you really find out that the God you thought was the God is not that kind of a God, and what they have hidden from you, and what really rules here. And when you do, you see all these things people think are myths. Anunnaki, other planetary beings. It's not. It's not a myth. They found the evidence. Just do the searching. But it's tit for tat. Tit for tat. Stop being tit for tat. I don't know everything and neither do you. But I know something's not right, and so do you. And you put your faith in influences and people who tell you that it's going to be all right, and they are taking you to the death. And you don't want to believe that Hitler's plan is in motion in many aspects. And all the people that you see that you think are so good and you know are wrong, you still will bow down because that's that slightest doubt in you, or that slightest chance of recognition. Kingdom is inside. And when it's inside, it goes forth. So we can play 1,000 different games. We could get gangster. We could say this. There's a principle in what we do. And you twist it. You twist it for your own good. I had to learn that the hard way in many aspects of life. And it turned out to be the most beautiful way. Because what blossoms, nobody could take from you. And you can articulate like this. When your friends are slagging their friends that they hang out with to make you think they're not cool, and then they are hanging out with them, those friends will talk about you in an instant. If your friends have no forgiveness for a slight error, those friends were never your friends. So if you truly alchemize your projection of yourself, don't worry about what their projection is, because you know if you did something wrong or if you didn't. You know in your heart if you didn't act appropriately, because come on, we've all been there. So these necessary discussions are for you to understand that you asked for this. You asked for this awakening. You asked for the opportunity to know our true purpose. You asked for the opportunity to understand love. And let's get back to that. I want to say something, and I mean this with no disrespect. I want to tell you what trauma does to some people, men and women. When they have trauma, and it stems from especially the mother, what happens is that in the search for love, they want to love many, or they want to love two, or they want to feel something because they never felt it. That's a danger zone. Somebody always gets hurt when there's 2 and 3 people involved in a relationship. Comes a time you have to clean it up, guys. And you have to understand that love through another person because you never got it and trying to fill a void will not work. It will not work. You must turn around and look some things in the mirror, and even though they stay with you every day, you must learn to balance them. Because if you want unicorns and love or infinite possibility to exist in your mind's eye, don't get it confused with playing out someone else's fantasy. And if they're all confused, because there's many people who talk very, very, very knowledgeable, or they bring these things to the table. I. But it's that attention. You should be able to speak things on a public platform, matter of factly. And you should never get involved with people that you are on your friends list and you know that they're just there because they're there or whatever, and you never have a close relationship with them either. They're just there, they're passing through. And we have so much judgmental issues going on. Veganism. Do you eat meat? Do you not eat meat? Listen, this is another necessary conversation. It does not quote anywhere that people should not eat meat in any scripture that was left for us. However, there are certain, kosher, if you're, using your products kosher or even halal or even, in a manner that is, that you're accustomed to and from your culture. True, there should always be something that should be an alternative. But don't down each other, because many people that are the most hurtful with their voices, they did eat meat prior. Stop doing that. And the people who eat meat, stop also downing them. Come to some kind of a balance. Please do, because you're creating things that is a personal choice for people to make, and you're making it. I said that wrong. You're creating things that you want people to live by, but it's a personal choice. Neither is right or wrong. It just is. It's a recyclable planet. So we should be a little bit more sympathetic, or we should stop saying that people are going to perish because they do or they don't. Please stop it. It's wrong. Also, those of you who discuss your friends with other people, stop doing that. If you have a grievance, say it directly. Stop lying and misleading, and stop using examples of people's other misfortune of why you're more fortunate, right? And you are more light body than someone else. That's how I'm going to say it, because that's how you all say it. It's wrong. Stop it. You are not. Stop it. Because there's a gentle way of doing things. And yes, I know that I am very outspoken, and sometimes I was outright raw. It's part of the course. But again, you're evolving and you're learning. I've seen some people who are so sweet in their talk, and they're slithering snakes. Again, it's a duality. So what really are you? True to yourself, or the illusion of just creating these things that don't exist? It's up to you. These discussions are necessary because the planet is out of line. Out of line. If you can't handle it among yourself, how are you going to look the powers to be? And when I say the powers to be, the rulers of this earth, I mean, at this point, how are you going to look them in the eye and tell them what is and what is your divine right? How are you going to change your womb and change the generation of yourself first? I'll leave you all with that to think about. Getting a little sleepy now. I am. I've been meditating and pondering and just flowing for a few days now. And it's been on my mind to speak. Because my people are hurting. Our people are hurting. And make no mistake, we're making idiots out of ourselves. You don't have to be an idiot. And I said it. But it's the truth. Idiotic behavior breeds contempt. Contempt breeds division. Patience, understanding. Knowing that it does exist what we speak about, and we shouldn't shy away from it because we're spiritual. We are evolving. And if you're going to evolve, you have to have these discussions. Peace out.